So I know on this channel, this is a very PC compatible focused channel. I mean, I've done some Mac stuff and a few game console-ish related stuff. That is generally what I'm the most into. It's what I know the most. It's what I have the most of. But I do definitely have an interest in, you know, the 8-bit computers and whatnot, the stuff that preceded the PC, that was alongside the PC, and all the stuff that the PC ended up slaughtering, because that's just how history went. And I actually have quite a lot of this stuff. I just don't ever get to use it. So we're gonna try to fix that. And what better way to start that off than with the humble, but yet still quite interesting, Commodore VIC-20. It's the friendly computer. So yeah, I actually have two VIC-20s, and we're gonna be seeing if one, they even work, because I've owned this one for like almost a decade, no idea if it works. And this one I've had for a couple years, also don't know if it works, and I'll explain why that is in just a minute. I think the VIC-20 is pretty interesting. Of course it gets overshadowed by the Commodore 64. I definitely think it has a very important place in history. Honestly, it's pretty interesting given how limiting the machine is. I mean, 5K of RAM, that's it, 5K of RAM. You don't even get to use all of it. And the fact that we have two of them here gives us at least hopefully a chance that at least one of them will work. So I bought this one in like early 2016 for $20, and it didn't come with a power supply. That's the main reason why I haven't been able to test either of these, because I had no power supply for them. Came with the data set. As you can see, it has very, very bad chemical burns from the cable being wrapped around it for so long, which is why I'm not at all worried about wrapping the cable still around this. So it very cosmetically looks terrible. Hopefully it works. I don't know if these use belts or not. Belts might be shot. And I also got the Commodore VIC-1540. That's right, not a 1541. This is the very original drive that came out with the VIC-20. There is a VIC-1541, which is much more common, but I believe the 1540 is incompatible with all the later Commodore stuff due to Commodore weirdness. Basically, without getting too into it, there was some bug with the hardware and they ended up making the drives way slower than they otherwise would have. And that's why the Commodore disk drive is notoriously slow. So yeah, I got all that for $20. I mean, that was a great deal in 2016. That's a fantastic deal now. As you can see, the machine has seen some better days. It's not too terribly yellowed, although it is a little bit yellowed. It's more yellow looking in person than it is on camera. The space bar is unfortunately broken, because what happened was I accidentally dropped something on the computer at one point in time. I think it was maybe like a year after I got it. What happened was I had to super glue one of these back in because the little stock thing kind of snapped off. I had to super glue that back in. That's fine. The problem is with how this stabilizer bar snaps in. There's these little things here that hold the stabilizer bar, and it's supposed to clip in. Those clips are broken because I screwed up. If you ever remove or are planning to put the space bar back on your Commodore keyboard, you have to take the keyboard out of the top case. I didn't do that because you need to snap that in from the side, like this. You can't go from the top because you'll just break the clips off. So yeah, this thing does not hold in there at all. These kind of look removable. They might be. I haven't really totally figured out if they are or not. I did look up potentially a way to maybe fix these that I saw someone mention in a forum post, but let's go on to what the other machine is looking like. Oh, it's the fine one that popped out. Whew, all right, we're safe. And then this one, obviously, it has the box. I mean, it's not in the greatest condition, but it's really cool. I don't have too many boxes for my old computers. Man, look at all this stuff. The VIC modem. Imagine trying to browse a BBS on a VIC. The 22 character screen. Ooh. Household budgeting, student education, personal improvement, financial planning. Wow, all big grown-up stuff, which nobody used it for. Everyone used it for games. See, like they even knew it. It says play great games, does a lot more. Sure. Yeah, we got the data set, and this is like a really old version of the data set that I've never seen before. It's definitely not that one. Looks more like a standard cassette drive, floppy drive, and you got a printer. A printer would be pretty cool, although it probably wouldn't work, which would be very lame. And this serial number does actually match the unit that's in here. This one is considerably more yellowed, so let's go ahead and get this out of the foam here. This one is also quite dirty. So yes, this is the VIC-20, and you'll notice the badges are different. This is the earlier version of the VIC-20 that has just this kind of black and kind of gold colored badge on it. Looks nice. This power thing is also gold. I do kind of prefer the rainbow logo that's on the later one. That's just me. I also think the gray keys look better than these brown keys. As you'll see, this keyboard is also not in good shape because we're missing an entire key. We're missing the inst/delete key. I assume inst is for instruction, and it is, I don't have the key. That's totally gone, and yeah, the stock is broken off. I don't want to try to combine these two and make just one working, but if one of them ends up being broken anyways, might just be what I do. Yeah, this one is definitely gonna need some restoration, which we're probably gonna tackle at like the end, because mainly we just wanna get these things working. But here on the side is the main culprit of why I did not ever get these working. That is the power supply connector. It's a two-prong connector, which that is not at all what the later VIC-20s or Commodore 64. This uses a different power supply that is AC only. You can see it's a 9-volt AC. You can definitely find those power supplies on eBay. They go for like 30-ish bucks, which I don't really want to have to pay for. But I have my own solution. Yeah, we just use a later power supply and we make our own cable. Now, that's what I'm talking about.
Oh yeah, not to brag or anything, but I actually got this computer for free. So like, yeah, not to brag or anything, but yeah, I got this computer for free.
There's some stuff we gotta go over. So obviously, these early machines use this two-prong connector, which I just showed you. And the problem there is that they're not as common. You know, the power supplies are just not as common. But that's actually kind of a good thing, in my opinion, from a design standpoint, because that means the AC to DC rectification is actually done inside the computer. And that means the power supply itself is much simpler. It's just an AC transformer that's just stepping down the voltage from, 120 or 240 down to, 9 volts AC. Very simple design. Of course, that does make the machine itself a little bit more complex. If you ever open up one of these early ones, and we're going to at some point, we gotta fix the keyboards and stuff. There's these massive heat sinks that live right here. Those are kind of needed to help cool, all the voltage stuff that's in there. So I get kind of why they moved away from this approach, but it's good for one big reason, and that's because the later power supplies suck. They're terrible. They will kill your machine. Almost guaranteed they will eventually kill your machine, and let me explain why. This is not a real Commodore brick. I do have one. I could have went and grabbed it if I felt like it, but this is what we're going to be using anyways. This is a Gyakuten replacement power supply from back in the day for your Commodore machine, and this is actually the box that it came with. Yeah, exact replacement AC adapter for Commodore VIC-20 and 64. So I have this. Apparently it was $18 at some point. Ooh. And there's an 84 date on here, I think. Yep, 1984. This is, the same thing as a Commodore brick. Okay, we're gonna pause for just a second. So the keen-eyed among you may have noticed a flaw in my plan here to use this later, C64 style power supply. I didn't even think to look this up when I was planning this. This power supply does not provide enough amperage on the 9-volt AC line. The actual power supply for this computer should be providing 31 VA, or kind of thereabouts. This only does 9 VA. Now, VA is not amps. Apparently that's something called voltage ampere, which I didn't know beforehand, but I looked it up and now I know. Anyways, that's like a third of what we need compared to the original power supply. I've heard that you can get away with like 2 amps on these ones, but I don't know. Now, we're just going to skip almost all of this section with this power supply because it ends up being basically irrelevant. I wouldn't recommend you do this then, now that I know this. Now, you will see that this does actually end up working, at least temporarily, so you will see it work. However, there will be a proper kind of replacement later on in the video. Now, this isn't the most common of power connectors, but you may have seen these on, your old kind of cheaper like CD boom boxes or whatnot. I always called this the lame version of the figure 8 cable. But this actually fits perfectly into the slot here. It's not the tightest, but it does fit. But yeah, that actually fits in there just fine, and I have no idea what this connector is actually called. You can actually use a, more standard, what we call figure 8 style power cable. The problem with this one is it's very tight because the molding is a little bigger. You can get it to fit, maybe not so much in this one. I could get it to fit in my other VIC-20 when I was just kind of fit testing these. You might be able to modify this a little bit. Not that I'd recommend you do that, but you probably could get it to work if you finagled it enough. And obviously, I think it should go without saying, do not plug this directly into the wall. You will immediately destroy the computer. I feel like that should be very obvious. All right, so we got our little CRT hooked up here. Newer VIC-20 first, because I've opened that one up and I know there's no funny business going on in there. Okay, moment of truth. This power switch is really tight too. Ooh. Hey! Hey, look, it works! Oh, yes. Oh, okay, all right, hold on. That booted up way faster than I thought it would too. The picture quality is not amazing looking, given that, it's RF. Spacebar works. All right, let's try writing a classic, program. Ah, nice. All right, let's go the older one. There we go, also working fine. A little bit of distortion there. I don't remember if that was on the other one, but the A key is not working. Yeah, the keyboard's definitely a bit dirty. One thing I didn't say about this one is the keys they're a little on the scratchy side. That's kind of the problem with anything out here in the desert is no matter what you do, unless you like seal it up really well, dust will get into everything. And I mean everything. So we definitely need to clean this keyboard out to get this working here. It's working. I can't believe both my VIC-20s seem to be working just fine, which is great because I know the Commodore 64s are not well known for being the most reliable, but I think the VIC-20s are probably a little bit more resilient. All right, so I think we're gonna tackle this keyboard first because I'm waiting on parts for that one. This one, we should be able to try our very janky repair with just some stuff that I already have lying around. Yeah, here's what our board looks like. You can see these massive heat sinks that I was talking about. I know these are, tiny compared to, modern heat sinks, but those are still quite significant. Of course, there's our good old 6502. I might add some heat sinks to these at some point. There was no RF shield on here. Yeah, I might add some heat sinks to like the CIA chips and maybe the CPU and whatever this is, just to help it out. I don't know if these run too terribly hot. It's mostly the C64s that I know get pretty unhappy with how hot some of the chips run. All right, so we need to take this out. Well, apparently one of the stocks was already broken off and I didn't notice that. Well, that's great. Thankfully, the rest of these seem to be in okay enough shape other than these top ones are a little bit cracked. I might try to super glue this back on just to kind of hold it there. I know it's not gonna really do much. Now I get to do the fun process of unscrewing these like 20 tiny little screws and also desoldering the switch. Fun. Here's our PCB. Now we don't need to do anything with this. Although, check out that Mitsumi logo. That's just peak. But here's the keyboard mechanism. You just have these little conductive pads that get pushed down and contact the board. That's all this works. And then you have a special key for the shift lock that you have to solder into the board, unfortunately. But all right, so our main point of attention is going to be in this area here. Now, what we're going to do is, and I need to kind of demonstrate here, and all this does is basically push down against this. So when you're pressing the space bar, this goes down and it forces the other side of the space bar to come down evenly at the same time. That's all this does. However, this is useless if we can't get it to stay in place somehow. Now obviously we can't glue it in place because it has to pivot up and down like this. So that's not an option. But if we had something that could wrap around it, kind of hold it in place, then in theory it would work. This is literally just based off of one guy's forum post that I saw related to this, and he said he did it before and it worked. You strip the plastic off of a wire tie, you drill holes into the plastic, and then this gets wrapped over this, ties it effectively to the plastic. But of course, you know, it can still move. Yes, this is extremely janky, but I don't really know how else to fix this without either these being removable, which I don't think they are. They do kind of look like they're molded into plastic, or if they are removable. And unfortunately, this is the smallest drill bit that I have, which is quite a bit larger than the wire. I'm just gonna have to like tie this up and do like a kind of a big thing in the back. But this is kind of all I have to work with here. Okay, that's a very small hole, but that will work, I think. And then I need one on the other side here. Okay. Here's the progress so far, so that wire will come across it here. And I think that'll actually work. I'm just gonna go ahead and drill the other side, because I mean, we don't really have anything to lose at this point. Oh, I'm moving this around. Oh, these definitely come out. Yeah, these come out. Why has nobody 3D printed one of these yet? Like made a model for this? Trust me, I looked everywhere. Maybe I don't know what to search for. If somebody can please pop these out of their real VIC-20 or Commodore 64 keyboard, just please make an STL for this, because I would much rather just, you know, print one of these. It would make this so much easier. Guys, please do it. Somebody out there, do this. I'm not good enough at 3D modeling to do quite this level, but it's in half because we don't need all of this. Well, I have to say, that actually works pretty well. I only looped it over once. It does move around quite a bit, which is kind of understandable. It doesn't actually jiggle up and down as much as I thought it would. Now, there is a bunch of excess here in the back, and I might trim this down just so it doesn't like touch the board or anything. But yeah, I think this is actually going to work. I can't believe that actually such a janky repair like this is gonna work, but I think it will actually. All right, and there we go. Now there is one problem. That is, you can see the stabilizer is working. However, if I, of course now it's not gonna wanna do it. Oh, it's kind of doing it. The stem is not actually connecting to the spacebar very well. Yeah, that's because the little fitment piece on the spacebar itself is cracked. Yeah, see, it just wants to pop out. So I think I'm gonna put some like hot glue on it just to get it to kind of stick a little bit better. Now it doesn't want to pop off. I also fixed the case. I tried to do the super glue baking soda method. I've never done it before, and I think I have the wrong kind of super glue. Mine's like really thick. It's more like a gel almost, and I don't think that really worked all that well. Isn't immediately snapping off, so I did add a little bit to these, which were on the weaker side. So I'm just gonna go ahead and put this thing back together and kind of, you know, hope for the best here. You may have noticed on this one that there's some pretty bad like marks and stuff on the case. This was some pretty bad, you know, cable burn from cables being, you know, wrapped tightly around it. I actually already fixed these. They were really bad, and I kind of sanded and filed them down years and years ago when I first got it. So like it's actually really smooth right here because there was a pretty nasty one here. These ones I could probably work at more to fix, but I think trying to do anything else is just gonna make it look worse, to be honest, so. But I definitely need to clean out these vents, and we still need to clean the rest of the keyboard, but I can just pop all the keycaps off and clean underneath them one by one. All right, so plan B for the AC adapter. I actually saw some people mention this online and I didn't even think of it because I honestly completely forgot this is even what type of power adapter it uses. But this is the power supply for an Atari 1050 disk drive. And as you can see, 9 volts AC, 31 VA. So that's like, I think close to 3 amps or roughly thereabouts. But yeah, this is almost exactly the right specs for a VIC-20. Like this almost perfectly matches one of the official adapters. Yeah, I didn't even think of using this, but this is a much better solution than the Commodore power supply. It's smaller. I mean, this is just a transformer in here. Should be pretty reliable and, you know, it should be able to actually power the computer properly. I measured this on my meter and I was getting about 10.5 volts from it, which is within spec for the other VIC-20 power supplies I've seen, because again, some of them just are even labeled as 10.5 volts instead of 9 volts. So that's just the way Commodore did it. But yeah, as you can see, this is not the same as the Commodore power supply or the same as the VIC-20 one. However, I picked up some of these on Amazon. This is just a little barrel jack adapter, because the barrel jack on this is 5.5 millimeters by 2.5 millimeters, which means the outer side is 5.5, the inner pin is 2.5. Yeah, I picked up a few of these, and what's nice about these is these just have these little screw terminals, so I don't even have to solder this, which is actually really convenient. So I just went ahead and cut the cable off of the other connector rather than, you know, desoldering it, and restripped the wires. I could have made this look a little bit better, but frankly, I don't really care. These were definitely not meant for such large gauge wires. And there we go, it's not the prettiest looking. Again, round 2 for power supply. Hey, well, it works. Just like I thought. Well, that's gonna be it for part 1. I apologize if this video seemed a little bit kind of disorganized or anything like that. I didn't have a lot of time to really plan anything with this, and I kind of created new plans and just kind of made stuff up as I went. So there is gonna be a part 2. We're going to fully restore this one. It obviously needs retro brighting, needs a very good cleaning. This video was mainly just to see if they even worked, and they both do, so that's fantastic. We'll also try to get some software or something running on these. I don't have any software at all for these. I don't have any cartridges, no tapes, no discs. That's gonna be a little bit difficult. We're gonna have to probably type something into BASIC, but we're gonna try to do something with these. But yeah, I'm just really glad that I have VIC-20s that work, because I just didn't know if they ever did. It was always bothering me. Finally glad that I got around to it. So yeah, the next video is mainly going to be on this machine, although you can see we are going to have to adjust the video on this one because it is quite dim. Thankfully, that should be a pretty easy fix, and I think we're going to have to do the same on this one. But I'm very excited to get cracked into this one and just give it a full restoration. So hope you guys stick around for part 2. That should come out hopefully very soon. I don't think it'll take very long after this part 1 comes out. So yeah, thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys in part 2.